Okay, a little bit about shifting of our conics. And to get it started, we've already shifted conics, one of the conics, and that is the the upright parabola. If I have y equals x minus 2 squared, we already know a little bit about that, don't we? What do we know about that? Tell me about that. Shifted to the right. Yeah, this is the x squared, the parabola, and it shifted 2 units to the right because of this minus 2. The minus on the inside, remember, that makes it go to the right. So yeah, this is the parabola, the x squared parabola, and it's going to be shifted 2 units to the right. Exactly right. So it takes the regular x squared graph and shifts it 1, 2 to the right. So now we have it here. And specifically, we go from the vertex of 0, 2 to 2, 0 vertex. All right? And so we also did a plus, and so plus makes it go to the left, right? Well, the reason I mention that is because that's how these other conics work. We'll throw in another little bit, but that's the same way the other conics are going to work. You know, parabola is a conic, circle's a conic, and the others, they're going to work very, very similarly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the circle first of all. If that's how that shifted, then yeah, if I take x squared plus y squared equals 4, what do you know about that? That's a circle centered up at 0, 0, radius. What's the radius? Radius would be 2, square root of the 4, right? Okay, so that one's here. That's what we did last time. Radius of 2, so yeah, just go out 2 from 0, 0 all directions, and you've got your circle. Okay, well, if I took x minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 4, what do you think happened there? Well, the very same thing happens there that happened on the parabola. This is going to cause the graph what? To shift how? 3 units to the right, yeah. This is going to shift it 3 units to the right. So I'm going to take this circle 3 units to the right, and specifically think about the center here, first of all. The center, if I shift it 3 units to the right, I think I went left a while ago, but yeah, that's going to put the center right there at 3, 0. And all the other points, well, the other points, it still has a radius of 2, right? Still got the r squared is 4, so radius would be 2. Shifted 3 units to the right, so that shifts my center to 3, 0. But everything else is just about the same. Here, point there, point right there, point right there, and then point right there. Yeah, so it's the very same thing. We've just shifted it to be the center is 3, 0. Okay? Well, here's the other thing. All right, so if that's that, then x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 4. Well, this is going to have the combination, both shifting to the right and then either up or down, because I also now have a minus 5 in with the y. And yeah, the inside there with the x, that's going to shift it right or left. And but with the inside with the y, what do you think there? That's going to make it go up or down. And when it's in this format here, it's going to work much the same. Like this goes 3 to the right. What do you think minus 5 is going to do for up or down? That's going to make it go up. Yeah. Kind of goes the opposite of what you might think. This makes it go to the right, and then this is going to make it go up. And so my center which was at 0, 0. If I go 3 to the right, it's going to be 3. If I go 5 up, it's going to be 5. And so that is my my center right there, 3, 5. And so that's how I would graph it. I still have the radius as 2, but now the center is 3, 5. So I go to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the y. There's my center. Now my radius goes out 2 in all directions, 2 there, 2 there, 2 there, and then 2 down. Easy enough, right? Okay. All right. One other little point here. I think. Well, we used this terminology for the parabolas as well. But for the center, we are going to use HK for, in general, the center of the circle. So here it is. If I have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, what do I have there? I have a circle, center, well, whatever's minus the x, that's the x coordinate of the center. So the center x coordinate would be h. Whatever's minus the y, that's the y value of the center. So it's be hk would be the center. Radius r. So that's how circles get shifted. And the good news is ellipses and hyperbolas work just like it. But for now, we're working on the circle. Okay? Is that okay? With me on that? Now, the only thing is, what if it's not a minus in there? What if I have x plus 1 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals 9? Instead of pluses, I've got minuses. Well, like we said, it works kind of the opposite what you would think. This makes, if it's minus, it makes it go to the right and up. Well, if it's plus, this would make it go to the left, and that would make it go down. So it just works the opposite. This is going to be a circle, and just change the sign. The center is -1 and -2. That's how it works. If it's a plus on the inside there, then it's a minus on your center. So it's -1 and -2. Okay? And the radius here is 3, the square root of 9. So that's enough to graph this, isn't it? -1, -2, my center. So I'll go radius 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 up, 1, a little higher, 2, 3 back, and 1, 2, 3 down. So that one's at 2, this one's at 1, this one's at -4, and this one's at -5. Okay? Easy enough? All right. Well, we can also then go the other way. Here we took the equation and went to the graph. What if I knew the information about my circle and wanted to find the equation, for example? Find the equation of the circle. With center 5, -3 and radius 7. Well, knowing that the equation of a circle can be written x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, that's just filling in the parts, isn't it? Because what is this? 5, -3? That'd be h and k, wouldn't it? This would be the h, this would be the k. So plug that in for h. So we have x minus 5 squared plus, now what happens here? Well, you have k is negative 3, so it's minus negative 3, so it'll be plus 3. Again, just changing the signs there, if you will. Equals, and then r is 7, so r squared would be 3. Those are easy then. To find equations of circles, just have to know the center and the radius. Now, a little twist on that would be this. Is that okay? Find the equation of the circle. With center negative 4, 2. That goes through goes through 9, 1. So in this case, I've got the center, and then I've got a point on the circle. Can I find that equation? Because I don't have the radius. And the answer is yes, I can, because here's what I can do. We've done similar things before. This does give me h and k. Center is hk, so it would be x. H is negative 4, so what would this be inside here? X plus 4 squared plus y, k is 2, so it would be y minus 2 squared. And like I said, I'm not given the radius, so that's kind of what I got to figure out. Is I still need to know the radius. How might I do that, you think? Well, since I've given a point, that doesn't give me the radius. However, it does give me, doesn't this have to be an x comma a y that fits in this equation? So can I plug these in for x and y? I plug in x to be 9, y to be 1. And notice that just gives me a nice little equation that I can solve for r squared, whatever you want to. Got 13 squared plus negative 1 squared equals r squared. So that's 169 plus positive 1 equals r squared. So 170 equals r squared. If you get down to it, r would be the square root of 170. But if you just look at it, what I was needing was r squared, so you can plug it either. You can plug in r to be square root of 170, but r squared is 170. So that's what goes here. So it would be x plus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 170. Is that okay? Question or concern? All right. Well, continuing the theme here with circles. Okay? Everybody got that one? All right, let me mention to you a little thing we haven't talked about in this class before yet, and that is, let me talk about completing the square. We're going to need this for the next problem I want to show you. It's called a little technique called completing of the square. Here's how that works. Say I have an x squared plus 6x equals 7. We can use this different ways, but I have a specific thing in mind for circles, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of how it works. What I want to do is I want to complete the square on my x's there. Here's what that means. What that means is I want to make it be a perfect trinomial square is what it's referred to as, but it's called completing the square. Here's what that means. I want to make it where I have x, in this case it would be x plus c squared. That's what I want. I want x plus a number squared on my left-hand side. X plus a number squared. And the way I do that, here's how I do that. I'm going to take the left-hand side here. I'm going to add a number to it. And here's the number I'm going to add to it. I'm going to take half of the middle term squared. Half of the middle coefficient, and then square it. So half of 6 would be 3, and then square 3, you got 9. Okay? See where we get that? Half of 6 is 3, and then I'm going to square that to get 9. Well, this is an equation, so if I add 9 here, what do I have to do also? Add 9 over there. Okay? Add 9 over there. All right? And so what that gives me is then, look at factoring that. X squared plus 6x plus 9 does factor x and x, 9 with 6 in the middle. It's 3 and 3, isn't it? Positive 3 plus 3. Of course, this side is 16. But notice, isn't that x plus 3 squared? That is x plus 3 squared. And like I said, there's different things we could do with that then, but that's what I wanted here. That was the task, was just complete the square on the left, which I've done that. So I want to go from this side here to where it's the binomial squared. Okay? All right, now, I could do the same thing on y's, whatever variable it is, I can do the very same thing. For example, if I have y squared minus 8y equals 10. Let's complete the square on the y's here. All right, well, how do we do it? We take half of the middle term, half of negative 8. Half of negative 8 is, well, if you get down to it, it's negative 4, but I'm going to square it. And we square negative 4, what do you get? Positive 16. Yeah, you still get a positive number. Okay? So I'm still going to add 16. I'm going to add 16 also to the right. Okay? Well, that also then completes the square over here, because notice that is y squared, so it's y and y. 16 with minus 8 in the middle is minus 4 and minus 4, isn't it? So it does complete the square. Y minus 4 squared equals 26. Of course, the only difference between this one and this, well, I guess the y thing, so you can do it on x's or y's or whatever variable. But the other thing is, what other difference we have is the minus here instead of the plus. And why do we have a minus here instead of a plus? Because we have a minus instead of a plus right here. Okay? All right. I show you that because we want to do that for this next problem. That is this. Find the center and radius of this circle. Number 1, x squared plus 4x plus y squared plus 8y minus 10, wrong thing, equals 0. Yeah, it turns out this is a circle, and we'll see that when we get to our final format here. But yeah, to get this where we want it, you see here, to find the center and radius, that's not a good form for it, because that's not the form we've been talking about. The form we would like to have is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Right? If we had it in that form, yeah, the center is hk, the radius is r. So how do I get from this form to that form? Completing the square, right? I need to complete the square on the x's. I need to complete the square on the y's. And what I'm going to do with that term is I'm going to move it to the other side and let the numbers work out however they work out. Okay? With me on that? So I'm going to complete the square on the x's, complete the square on the y's, because if I do that, then it's in this center radius format of a circle. Okay? So if I complete the square on the x's, what would I add in? I'd add 4, right? I'd add 4 because half of 4 is 2, and then square the 2, you got 4. So I add 4. And so, like I said, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So this side over here starts out with 10, but now I'm going to add 4 in. So I move the 10 over. I should have done that first. Add the 10 over to there. So I have 10 over there. But now, when I complete the square on the x's, I'm adding 4 here, so I've got to add 4 over here. So that side's going to be plus 4. Then I'm going to do this very same thing on the y's. What would I add in for my y's? Half of 8 is 4, and square it, you got 16. So I'm going to add 16. Okay, well, factor this up. What do I get? Well, it'd be x plus 2, wouldn't it? Or x plus 2 squared. Factor this one up. What would I get? Y plus 4, so it'd be y plus 4 squared. And this would equal 30. Yeah, so now I can see that the center is what? Well, opposite of that would be negative 2. Opposite of that would be negative 4. What about the radius? Square root of that. Square root of 30. Circle, center, negative 2, negative 4, square root of 30 is the radius. Is that okay? All right, let me do one more of those. Find the center and radius, number 2, of x squared plus y squared minus 10y plus 9 equals 0. Just a couple of little twists on this one. First step, yeah, I want to move this 9 over, so I get x squared plus y squared minus 10y equals, so I subtract 9, so I get negative 9 on my right side. Okay? So I'll move that over, and it is a negative 9 on that side, but that's going to work out okay here, because what am I going to do next of all? Well, I don't have anything on the x squared, so I don't have to mess with it. All I have to do is complete the square on the y's, and to complete the square on the y's, I take half the middle term, which is be negative 5, but then I square it, so I'm going to add in 25. Both sides. We okay on that? So like I said, there's nothing to do on the x's, so that just stays x squared. But the y's then, well, I factor it, be y minus 5, wouldn't it? Y minus 5 squared. This side would be 16. So what is the center and radius there? And so that's one reason I mentioned that. Yeah, you don't have to shift both ways. You don't have to shift it right and left and up or down. In this case, what shift do I have on the x? There's no shift at all. So what would the center? The center is just going to stay, as far as the h goes, what is h? 0, yeah. If there's nothing subtracted from x, the h is just 0. Or if nothing subtracted from the y value of the center, the k, is just 0. Okay, so yeah, there's no shift on the x, so the center stays at 0 in that direction. This one would shift the k to be 5. 0, 5 is the center. Radius 4, square root of 16. How about that? Okay? All right.